Rev up your engines!
Well, Toyota's got a real problem with their hybrid cars. It's probably not what you think. The problem is they can't make them fast enough. Now, a lot of Toyota buyers are facing a long wait to get their hybrid because it's so popular now, right? That's what happens when something gets popular. Toyota says that they're ramping their production up and that they'll end up making more than they even thought they were going to make during 2025, but so many people want them. And this just goes to show it gets popular, other manufacturers will do it. Now, everybody's following Toyota. They were the first ones to really mass produce and make good ones with the Prius. I know Honda made a hybrid first, but it was a massive failure. So you got to say the Toyota Prius was the first massive success, right? And then, of course, all the governments, we need fully electric battery cars. Look what we all said in the United States. No, we don't. We'll buy hybrids instead, right? So you might have to wait a little bit for your hybrid, but let me tell you something. You won't have to wait any time to get your electric car. They got them piled up. Nobody wants to buy them. And that tells you something. That tells you that at least we consumers here in the United States still have the freedom to buy what we want. We vote with our money, and people are voting hybrid, yes. Battery electric cars, no, right? And of course, one of the major reasons that the hybrids are succeeding like mad, but the battery ones are failing like mad, is because of range anxiety and lack of infrastructure for electric charging, right? You got a hybrid car, they got the longest range of them all. Some of them have a range that's 600-something miles, right? And you got no range anxiety with that kind of stuff, right? And then when you do run low, you fill it up with gas. You don't have to plug it in anywhere, right? Electric car runs out of power, that's it, baby. You got to charge that thing up. You're stuck. You're not going to get stuck. Say you were dumb enough with a hybrid car to run out of gasoline, all right? You run out of gas, the battery's dead. All you got to do is get some gasoline, pour it in, and away you go, all right? So, looks like Toyota won the bet on this, but if you're going to buy one, you might have to wait a little while because everybody wants to buy them. Unlike the electric battery cars that nobody wants to buy. Well, now the car dealerships are preparing for a pre-tariff sales onslaught. Some of them are getting hundreds of more cars delivered before April 2nd because people are worried that the price of them is going up and stuff. Now, we'll see what happens. I'm recording this right now before the tariff has gone in. And if the tariff has gone in, maybe the tariff won't even. Maybe it's a gigantic ruse just to get people to run to the car dealerships to buy cars before April 2nd, before the tariff goes into effect, and they have to raise taxes on them, right? And then the price would be more. So who knows what's actually going to happen. But the dealerships are kind of setting up for it. They've ordered more. They have more in there so they can sell them. Or are they going to tariff the cars that are already in the country? No one really knows what's going to happen with it. But, hey, it's certainly making for interesting times. I'll say that. Well, I always hate those stop-start systems in modern cars. Well, guess what? The federal government in the United States is now investigating 2.2 million Hondas and Acuras for their maddening start-stop systems that are failing. They're stopping and they're not starting. Now, this affects Hondas and Acuras that have the 3.5-liter V6 with the 9-speed automatic transmission, right? And that is a lot of Hondas and Acuras. According to a new investigation by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, they have a bunch of complaints about their automatic start-stop system in these Hondas and Acuras. Some of the reports that people sent to them, incidents resulted in a crash or a fire as well as injury. The people are saying that their auto idle stop system, once it activates and turns the vehicle off, the engine won't restart, and sometimes they have to jump start them to get them going. Now, they started with 2016 to 2019 Honda Pilots, and they say that it seems to only affect the 3.5-liter V6 with the 9-speed automatic transmission pair. But now they're saying the 2019 to 22 Passport, 2020 to 23 Ridgeline, and the 2015 to 20 TLX and Acura MDX. And this includes 2,209,466 vehicles. That is a big deal. Now, Honda says that it's a two-stage repair. First, they update the software, and then, if needed, Honda would have to replace the starter relays, and adjust the valves on the engine. And the vehicles that are included are given an extended warranty of 10 years. After doing this to a bunch of their cars, the fixes didn't work and the vehicles still don't restart. They couldn't figure out how to fix it. Now, I hate stop-start One, it's annoying, but two, you think it's annoying to you. Start, stop, right? Always push that button to turn it off so then it doesn't do. It's wearing your engine out faster, too. The worst damage to your car is done when you start the car. 90-something% of the wear is when you start a car. It's not running, you start it, the oil has to be pumped up. It's got parts that aren't totally lubricated, right? You don't want to sit there and keep starting your car hundreds of times a day. It's stupid, right? Well, this is even worse. It stops, but then it doesn't restart. Now it's just a stop system. So maybe these people realize one day this stuff is a bunch of crap. They shouldn't do it. And stop trying to say, oh, it saves gas, some tiny amount of gas, right? You're sitting there, your car doesn't start, and of course it doesn't start. Somebody might come slam into you. The light's green, they don't look, and they just plow right in. Well, General Motors Corporation looks like they're turning into a bunch of fascists. They're saying that if you buy a Corvette ZR1, they will void the warranty if you flip the car. Now, they're very expensive cars. It's a fancy Corvette, right? If you buy it and sell it to somebody else, they say they're going to void the warranty. Now, all I have to say is, how un-American can you get? It's supposed to be GM, right? The song used to go, what's good for General Motors is good for the USA. Yeah. Hey, we're Americans. If we buy something, we should be able to do whatever the heck we want with it. We bought it, we want to sell it to somebody else. Too bad. Why should that void the warranty? Well, because they don't want the owners to flip them and make more money. Hey, it's a world. We buy and sell. Capitalistic world, right? If you're going to be part of it and you're making enough money, GM, why can't the people buy your cars do the same thing? That's just un-American, if you ask me. Totally un-American. Somebody wants to buy something, somebody else wants to buy it, right? They're charging enough money for these things, right? But they're greedy. They're the only ones that want to make money. They don't want to be able to have you flip it to somebody else, right? So, if you buy one and try to sell it before a year is up, they'll void the warranty. Now, I don't even know if that is legal, to tell you the truth. Granted, this is a twin-turbo, insane Corvette. Now they're saying that customers who buy or lease a new Corvette ZR1 will have to sign a piece of paper saying that if you decide to sell or otherwise transfer ownership of your car in the first 12 months, all your warranties, you name it, are gone. You relinquish all opportunities to reserve or place an order for any in-demand model in the GM portfolio. Ooh, they're banning you. Ooh, banned. Well, you don't have to worry about banning me, GM, because I'm not buying one of your cars anyways. Your quality controls, your prices are too high. Hey, so, you get even with these companies, like I always say, just don't buy from them. Don't get stuck with them telling what you can do with something you bought. Say, okay, I'll go forward or somebody else and buy their stuff. Well, the state of Virginia is now considering putting speed limiters on people who are frequent speeders. Speeding over 20 miles over the limit, keep getting tickets. They're talking about putting a speed limiter on. Look, they did the same thing with drunk drivers. I had a customer with one. They got caught drunk driving, I guess too many times, and so they had to have one of those blowing pipes, and to start the car, they had to blow into the pipe, blow. And there was also a camera looking at them, so that if they wanted to check, they could see that, hey, the driver isn't blowing into it, it's the passenger, right? And those are totally legal. You get caught drunk driving, so if you get caught speeding, why not put a speed limiter on your car? So you can't go over a certain speed. Now, Virginia wants to classify 20 miles an hour over the limit as reckless driving, and if you're a repeat offender, they will put a limiter on your car. Now, it's not that hard to do with today's computer stuff. There's all kinds of, it would probably be just like a customer of mine that had that. There's a kit, and they put it in, plug it in the OBD port that wouldn't let the car start until they blew in and they didn't have alcohol on their breath so that they could drive the car. And every time they shut that car off and started it up again, they had to breathe into it. Of course, there's always ways to get around it. You could start the car and then don't turn it off, go to the liquor store and get drunk, I guess. But this would make more sense. If it was a speed limiting thing, it would make it that you could not turn it off after a certain period of time, and they could have a deal that, let's say it's hooked up to the OBD plug. If you unplug it, they could easily have a computer system that won't allow the car to even start then. So, hey, speeding is just as dangerous as drunk driving. Somebody's going 100 miles an hour. And it should be a deal where, hey, you get it, you can't hire a lawyer and get out of it. That would be an ironclad thing. But of course, that'll probably never happen because the lawyers get involved in making the laws. And they want to make money trying to get people out of it so they can get paid. So, if they do put this, you're going to speed all the time. Well, we're going to make it so your car can't speed anymore. Now, here's a story that makes me laugh. Aston Martin shares jump 10% as Canadian billionaire Lawrence Stroll invests more cash. Well, some of the way he invested more cash was he sold his minority stake in the Aston Martin Racing. And even the Aston Martin company's doing that. They're selling their stuff in the Aston Martin race so they can raise more money. Now, you might think, oh, the Aston Martin shares jumped 10%. Well, if you don't know it, I'm going to tell you right now. Aston Martin is a penny stock today as it stands. It's a penny stock. It's not even worth $1. I looked at it and it jumped and it said it was now 65.25 GBX on the English stock market, right? So you think 62.25, that's pretty good. You think 62 pounds, that's like $66 or something a share. No, it's 65.25 pence, which means it's equivalent of like 72 cents. Ooh, it jumped up 10% too. Woo-wee, it went up what? A nickel or something? You know, don't get involved in these companies. Aston Martin has been on the verge of bankruptcy forever. They lose money. Now, in 2024, they only delivered 6,080 cars. So 6,000 cars, right? And so in 2024, Aston Martin experienced a loss of 289 million pounds, which is even more than the 239 million pounds they lost in 2023. This company just loses money, right? Let's face the fact. And this thing that, it jumped because this Canadian invested more money. Well, kind of a bizarre investment. He sold his part ownership of the Aston Martin racing thing and then put it into the company. He probably did it because the company's on the verge of bankruptcy and he's got money invested. He doesn't want to lose the rest of it, right? Can anybody say throwing good money after bad? Well, I can say it. And I always laugh when I read these stories. Look, their stock went up 10%, and you find out that's only a nickel a share. Well, there's a city out there now that's offering $1,000 e-bike vouchers for mass transportation for low-income residents. And shockingly, it's not California. It is San Antonio, Texas. San Antonio is going to offer $1,000 e-bike vouchers to ease transportation for low-income people, right? Well, there's only one problem. They're going to put out a whopping 244 vouchers, right? You know how many people live in San Antonio? 1.5 million people. So this is a spit in the bucket. And on top of that, San Antonio is 465 square miles. I know lots of people who live in San Antonio. They got horrible commutes to work, to go around, right? These e-bikes are not going to make it that far, right? They're going to end up doing a lot of pedaling, and it's really hot in San Antonio most of the time. They're going to probably die of heat exhaustion, right? So, could you say too little, too late? I mean, the small amount that they're going to do, and they're getting a voucher, right? I mean, what does that mean? They still got to pay some money? If they're that poor, they probably can't afford the electricity to charge them up with. Who comes up with these ideas anyway? I'd like to know. Do it in a smaller place than San Antonio, and a place that doesn't have 1.5 million people, and give out a couple hundred of these things. Now, here's some weird technology. Probably never seen it because it was pretty rare, but at one point in time, some cars were using a power steering pump and a power steering fluid to run the cooling fan on the radiator. Expensive, stupid idea, right? But don't just believe what you read on the internet, because a lot of people don't know much about anything. I'm reading this article and it says Jeep figured out how to get the power steering pump to cool a V8 engine. I was talking about how a 99 Jeep used the power steering pump and the fan was now hydraulically activated, right? I mean, it's ridiculous because it costs so much money to make something that can accept all that pressure from the power steering pump to run a fan. Well, all you got to do is put an electric motor there. Electric motors don't cost that much money. They don't use that much power. They're a lot easier. They don't get hydraulic fluid leaks in them. I mean, sometimes people came up with the craziest ideas. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.